Wale. Really quick, let's go over what is SASA. SASA stands for Save Ancient Studies Alliance. It's our mission to reverse the current downward trend in the study of the ancient world by engaging the public and bringing together students and scholars to share their passion for the study of the ancient world in order to inspire a vast new generation of students. We do this by hosting a lot of different kinds of live events, doing research on the downward trend in ancient studies. We have an open access database where you can search resources in ancient studies and much more. Where can you find SASA? Search for Save Ancient Studies Alliance, and on any of these platforms, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. SASA's live events protocol. Please be kind and respectful. Listen and ask thoughtful questions throughout the event. Please be patient with technology and those administering it. SASA live events are streamed on Twitch, and recordings will be posted on SASA's YouTube channel shortly after the event. There are spoilers during our Archeo Gaming events, but of course, as always, have fun. Don't forget to subscribe to SASA on Twitch. If you enjoy our live events, such as Archeo Gaming, book clubs, and reading groups, please consider becoming a supporter with a recurring donation. You can do this for as little as $3 a month, and you can help save ancient studies. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Hello?
We have appeared.
Yes. Let's make sure that the screen resolution is correct. Pharaoh.
You're gonna have to delete. You're gonna have to resize all the windows. But in the meantime, while our windows are being resized, welcome everyone. Thank you, my brother in a moon, Billy, for subscribing for 6 months. Jesus. And thank you everyone for joining us. We are here today with an updated roster. Now the Italians have multiplied, and there are 2 Italians now. So please, everyone, welcome Dr. Andrea Talmeri, who is a friend from an era ago, an age ago, and surprisingly enough, because we usually bring people who don't know that's not true. He's an expert. Actually, on ancient Turkey, Brianna, that wasn't a dig at you. He's an expert on ancient Turkey and the Hittites, which we are almost destroying completely. So, Andrea, welcome. Thank you for accepting our weird invitation.
Well, you say expert, but it's you said that, so I don't.
I said that. I will die on that hill. So tell us who you are and what is your interest in ancient Anatolia and ancient birds, if you want. You know, we are a bird positive channel.
Birds? Why birds?
I remember your photo with the bird on your shoulder.
Yeah. I also have a small bird over there as well, a plastic one. No, I don't have a real one. But actually, coincidentally, I am much more working on birds now than in the past. So that's true. Bird oracles, like, bird flies in Hittite. So I'm working on a project here with bird oracles and other oracle types. So the Hittites were some of the people that watched birds, and we have texts about that. So what I'm doing is a postdoc in Hittitology, and previously, as you know, I met you in New York, and I was studying in New York at NYU, and I got a PhD in ancient studies, especially Hittite Anatolia and Near East history and archaeology and so on.
Excellent, excellent. Now I need to know more about bird oracles. Tell us everything about that. We need to know more, because we've had a whole episode on dogs and dog names completely by accident. So today we can talk about oracles and birds and Hittite, haruspexes, I guess. Please.
Well, in short, because I don't want to take out time from streaming and the game, they did watch birds for predicting things, and not only in the future, but in the past too. Like if there was a problem that happened, they say, well, let's ask the gods, and you can find reasons for problems in the past. So not through history, but through oracles, and oracles told things that happened that were bad, like sometimes Well, you mentioned Muvatali, but so one famous case is Mursili, the father of Muvatali. He found that his father murdered the heir to the throne, so the gods punished him. Suppiluliuma was punished, and so they found this out through oracles. Of course, they knew about it, but probably the oracles determined that this was a problem, and they had to make amendments for that. So, and some of the ways to find out was to watch birds, and we know this is one of the earliest cases of augury in the ancient world. Of course, we know about the Romans and Italy especially, but the Hittites were so 1,000 years before, and they did similar things. And we have texts about that. It's very complicated. We don't know anything about the birds mostly, and we know the names, we can read them, but we don't know what they look like.
Right.
And they go right and they go left, and they come from this side and from that side, but it's these tablets, and there's hardly any detail to find out how the observation looked like and what you really look at when you try to understand the bird's flight. So it's quite complicated, but we are working on this group of texts, and I'm going to edit them anew for online corpus. And so this is one of the types. There's also other kind of oracles by the Hittites, but I think bird ones are fun. And for battles, they really look at them very often. Before a battle or so, we have texts that say, and they have to watch the birds before, and then they have confirmation that the attack will go well. And the Hittites were sometimes successful in battle, so probably the birds said they would be fine. Yeah.
So the birds were very reliable, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
like the birds did the job.
Yeah, I think so. Unless, maybe when the empire fell, but maybe the birds predicted that. We don't know.
Right? Maybe they didn't listen to the birds, and they were like, "Nah, these birds are trash." And then look what happened, right?
Yeah.
So, two questions before we start showing you all the destruction that we've unleashed upon people, and what we are doing. Very shortly, what happens to the Hittites during the collapse of the Bronze Age? Because we have been very historically accurate, and we've destroyed everything. So in which shape do they arrive to the collapse? So like, what are they doing when the collapse arrives? Let's put it this other way. Because the game presents the Hittite kingdom as kind of not really unified, in that there is Kurunta, this dude here, who is trying to unseat his own brother and start a civil war. And there actually is the mechanism of civil war going around, but his brother is still on the throne. And then, depending on how you play, you can save the Hittite Empire, or you can usurp the throne, or, as we are doing, you can raise and destroy. Okay. So historically speaking, what was happening there when all of these invasions started? Very shortly. Very, concisely.
Well, first of all, I don't really know about invasions, because this is from Egypt. The only source that exists is from Egypt, in fact, about these troubles, and it's a mystery. I must say that no one really has a clue. One thing that is interesting is that it looks like the Hittite court and the king left the capital, left Hattusha, sometime before it was really abandoned, and this can be dated into the late 13th century already. So it's a bit earlier than what we think that the empire failed somehow. We still have a couple of decades. The problem is, where did they move? We don't know. So they probably moved, they abandoned the city, and we have no idea. I always think it's something like the Game of Thrones, and they moved somewhere and they were all murdered or something like that. But this is like something that I made up.
Wouldn't be the first time that someone who is a Hittite prince goes somewhere and is murdered along the way, now, would it?
It happened. And then you mentioned Kurunta. So Kurunta is the real person? existed. I think maybe the game put a few things together to just compact and make it like a nice story. Kurunta was a cousin of one of the last kings. So essentially, there were two different lines of the royal house. And what happened is that Hattusili III, one of the last kings, usurped the throne. And you know the story about his nephew who probably went to Egypt in exile. So the true king was usurped, and Hattusili got the throne. So the new line of the new dynasty was the Hattusili dynasty, and his son was the cousin of this Kurunta. Kurunta belonged to the older family. And we have texts that say that they were in good terms, actually, so Kurunta and the king, but there are also other monuments and things that show that maybe Kurunta did have some ambition. So I think they took this from the real story, and that is what probably happened. We don't know really very much about these characters, and then about the very last years of the kingdom, we do know very little. One thing that we know is that they didn't look very scared about things, or they were not worried about invasions or something like that. Even among the last kings, they still were building monuments, and in their text there's no such feeling of fear or troubles. Even though, of course, in the text they could claim everything was well, but again, it's a mystery. Suddenly disappearing whole civilization.
That's really cool. And like, yeah, most of what we assume happened, like we get from the Egyptian text and the letters, right? The letters from the Levant, and like saying all doom and invasions. But for the Hittites, I mean, maybe like if they were, maybe either they were not worried, or as you said, they would not write down that they were worried. They would not let on that they were worried. Who knows? I mean, at that point, all bets are off. We don't. And I mean, if the cord was fractured, you know, maybe the collapse causes are more internal than external, which is something that we can also say about the Mycenaeans, right? Who is burning all these palaces? Well, if your neighbor hates you, perhaps it's more likely that it's your neighbor than, you know, mysterious invaders from outside. So thank you for, you know, Hittite gossip hour 101. In the meantime, speaking of gossip, so we are fighting in Egypt. Jacob, please give our guests a panorama of what is going on.
We're up against Tausret. This is in the western desert, so you can see all this like hilly, rocky landscape that we're fighting in. Where Tausret, we drove her out of some of like the big Nile cities, but she has a pretty substantial army hanging out in the western desert. And so now we're going up against like several outpost garrisons of trash units plus Tausret's main army. Tausret is like the main power remaining in Egypt, because we of course murdered Ramses and burned all of his cities, and Seti was never really competent to begin with, and Amenmes was only very marginally in Egypt. So by default, Tausret is yes. By default, Tausret is controlling like Egypt proper.
Yeah, the only competent person around at this point is a woman. Not inaccurate, historically speaking, because during this period there is a big dynastic crisis in Egypt, and actually Tausret seems to have become somewhat of a king in her own right for a certain period of time. And then she was, you know, conveniently defeated and then erased, because that's what Egyptians do. But in the game, they made the good choice of giving her the chariotry. So she is a chariot unit. And these Egyptian chariots are fantastic because they're quick and light, as opposed to, and I think we will see them when we go back to fighting in Anatolia, we have the Hittite chariots. They are very heavy.
We actually,
they're big boys.
We brought some Hittite chariots with us for this one. Yes, you can see the massive three-man chariots with the huge shields.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the good thing about playing as the Sea People is that the more we destroy, the more we can, as one does, the more we can recruit local populations and local units. to our side. So now we can field armies from people from like the Delta up to Anatolia. So it's a great mishmash. They also made some interesting choices in terms of deities, in case you were wondering what kind of deities would the sea people worship. I will show you later. Because they've made choices. And in case you had any doubts, Jacob is damn good at battles. Like, Jacob knows what he's doing, unlike some of us when we play these games. We have, well, one of...
I want to say, this looks very cool. I think maybe I should play this.
Oh yeah, it is super fun.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to see what would happen if the Hittite court didn't collapse in on itself, Shippulyuma, I've played through Shippulyuma's campaign, and it is really fun.
That's the spot.
I'm kind of fascinated actually by what you said, that like there's kind of there's a spot the Hittite court went to. We don't know where it is, but that presumably would answer a lot of these questions if we could actually, you know, get the archaeological evidence.
Yeah, that would be like finding out if this is true that they moved, and this is like what the archaeologists found, that like the city was abandoned before destruction. So when it was burned, no one was there. Like, they didn't find anything. So that this is quite changes the things a little bit. And I think if one has to look at where they went, I think they went south or southeast somewhere. In that area also, it's very interesting that in the first millennium we have on the mountains over there, there's some local kingdoms. They have still some traditions going back to the Hittite period. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know, the kings have the Hittite names, the first millennium. So this is sort of like an idea that someone would continue there. They were also good in the coast. They had Ugarit, they had these cities. They might have moved in some friendly court. Even though, again, then maybe a few decades later, those places would be also in trouble. So, again, but there's no text about anything. But for the game, it brings me back to my memory of my last games that I played. This type is Age of Empires, like 2.
Oh.
Maybe some 3. Well, the 3 as well, and well, Civilization I never really played, but it gave me these very nice Age of Empires vibes, but with so much graphics and awesomeness with the chariots and everything.
Yeah. Oh, the nostalgia is real. We'll see if we can show you Kurunta in his fabulous attire in
Yes.
I briefly saw it. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. I briefly.
He's bringing forward the antlers agenda. Because, you know, antlers, right? He has some pretty sweet taglines. He says, "I am the dear God reborn," all of the time, because that's his namesake. Because heaven forbid, like, we have a theophoric name without believing we are the reincarnation of said God. The stylistic choices are something. We got slutty, messy, so he's, you know, he's wearing fishnets. Tausret is wearing gloves because she's fantastic and she's fabulous. Ramesses, whom we killed, was wearing the usual Egyptian pharaoh armor with the 2 wings coming down from one's chest. Seti was wearing something interesting, but he had the coolest shield.
Mightiest
and
of
then
Yeah.
there we go. Seti's here.
Seti's
Yeah,
got his
he's
dress.
yeah, he has his
Rightful
court
heir
dress.
of
Amenmess
Egypt.
is like, you know, in his slut era, so he's wearing a fishnet. Let's see.
And then and here's
Chaos
Kurunta
reigns
with the
eternal.
horns.
Isn't he great? Isn't he fantastic? He's
It is
great.
actually he's a relatively an old guy. I mean, that would work because he was some age. If you consider this would be, you know, early 12th century or something, then it would be an old guy. So they did it nice. And I think that the deal is great. The stack. The
Keep
thing
them
is awesome.
besieged.
Yeah, he really.
Yeah, I mean the good
You
part
fought
is
into
that
that.
you don't have a lot of
What
iconography of
must be
Hittite
done to be
armors
strong in
and
this world?
weaponry. You don't know so much. There's a few, reliefs, but it's nothing like in Egypt that you have some details. Even though, I mean, in Egypt maybe they don't depict the pharaoh with weapons or like with armors on, but I don't know. But you may have knowledge of what they wore, but the Hittites we don't really know very well. So I think they did a nice thing with the deer heads. I don't mind.
They went for it. Shupululuma had like the actual crown with the horns, with like 3 pairs of horns coming out. He was a cool dude. And then all the various smaller Hittite-like kingdoms that are popping out now, they all have the tall helmet. Like, the conical one. They're all wearing that. They also have some very like look at the guy from Larawanda. Yeah, look at him.
Yeah, that's
look
like
that
this
helmet.
game's standard Hittite gear.
And then we are the plumed sea people, but we also have we haven't seen our fashion victim yet.
Yes.
One of our generals is the most fashionable man in the game, and we love him dearly.
Sea pirate and
Where is he?
Up north and
that's him.
Syra.
There he is. Yes.
Okay, let's do the full outfit reveal.
He's perfect. He's fantastic. He didn't used to have such an over-the-top helmet. Then we gave him a helmet, and he just went for it. You may notice that his name is Etruscan.
Yeah, I was wondering about this Kneve.
Yes.
With
then you
Etruscan.
Perhaps we should look at the gods, because the gods that we worship are, as you can see, the Etruscan gods.
Yeah.
Yep, Isul, Laron,
So
and then the third one we get access to is Alpanu.
So they really went with the sea people. Some of the sea people, surely from Etruria, right? They really went with that. Brianna, correct me if I'm wrong. The consultant for this was Eric Klein.
Yes.
Yeah. So they got the big name. Are we fighting Kurunta on a field?
Yeah.
On a field? Yes.
Do we want
Let's
to?
go.
Yeah, this is gonna be an easy one, but let's fight it out because I don't think we're gonna see Karunta again, and I want to kind of see what he looks like in combat.
Yeah, let's look at him in combat.
Karunta, the art of murder.
At his capital, you're really going for the final blow there.
What?
And Tassa was the seat of his kingdom, so indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Annihilate him. Look at that.
I mean,
I am supporting Kurunta this time because I have to defend my people over there.
man,
You are trying to undo a civilization. I have to endure all against them, so I side with them. Let's see how it goes.
of course, of course. Oh, we are also like, these are not our armies. These are the armies of cities that we destroyed and they decided to side with us. So we didn't make this army.
Yeah, that's why it's all
one-
Hittite units. It's like Luwian swords and Anatolian spearmen and Isuans. It is a really cool mechanic. Playing as any faction in this game, it feels like you're playing into their propaganda, and this is the Sea People propaganda, where actually you're not just glorified pirates. You are helping liberate the people from their previous rulers, and also getting wildly rich in the process.
So in the game, so you can do this only by playing the Sea People. Like this is like a feature of the Sea People faction.
Yes, that you can build, take over a city, and instead of fighting the garrison, recruit them over to your side with enough eminence points is the mechanic they use.
This is very cool because it's kind of an asymmetric. So I would say each faction has its own perks, and so this is the one that's pretty good.
And what are the other? There is something kind of similar that all factions can do, where once you control a region, you can recruit the units native to it. So, if you're playing as Ramses, you get the units that Ramses always gets. He has Medjai and Sheridan warriors and stuff like that. But if you conquer into, say, Lebanon, you can recruit Canaanite units also. Whatever is local to that region will be available to you. Which I really like. It gets in a good amount of unit diversity and stuff like that. Otherwise, you'd just be playing with the small set of units for each faction. But of course, since we don't have cities, we can't do that. We get our native units other ways.
Yeah, but we don't have cities because we chose one subsection of the sea people. Because we chose the the marauders, evil destroyers. Because the other sea people faction, which are the Pelazet, are actually there to settle. So with this faction, you need to destroy and collapse civilization. There's actually like a civilization collapse bar at the top of the screen outside of battles. With the Pelazets, the goal is actually to settle down. So you get victory points the more cities you settle. And you can also choose if you want to, quote-unquote, create your own culture or, follow one of the two existing royal traditions, which is Egyptian or Hittite, right? It's a very binary choice. So they made some interesting choices with this, and the sea people mechanics are very nice, because even if you cannot settle, you still build some things in your camp, like it's the horde mechanic, with which you can recruit units, upgrade your units, upgrade your economy's raiding, so you get more from raiding and looting, and you can build idols to the gods. Because barbarians, right, and invaders don't have temples or statues, they have idols. So there are choices in terms of language and how to depict the people that come in here. It's really cool. The only thing that we really don't like is that our leader is blonde. That we really don't like.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird
blonde.
choice.
Yeah, he's weird. It smells a little of Dorian invasions. Just slightly.
You
Because
can,
he's very blonde.
The one other really weird thing, in my opinion, is that you can build a Trojan horse.
Yes.
And the caption is literally, "It could work again." All right, we've successfully murdered Karunta.
Sorry, man. Oh, we're gonna see the scene of him being killed by our plumed man, Sardos, who's also probably from Sardinia. I'm just gonna say, At the end of every battle, you get the little animation of people killing, or not. It depends. Oh yeah, sorry, sir. Sorry, Karunta.
Wow.
Yep.
Look at his shoes, though. Those are the Hittite pointy shoes.
Those were very accurate. The pointy shoes.
Yeah. There's like a few things of Hittite art that they got really well. If you fight inside of cities, they actually have Hittite temples with the big statue of the storm god. The one big statue we have of the storm god on his chariot with lions. They have that one in color in the temples and the citadels. It's very interesting how they use the environment to build cities, and to like put the walls and use natural defenses like, rivers and other things used as moats.
All right, so
And I assume every faction has their own like special unit or something like that. I
a bunch
remember
of them actually, yeah.
The thing with Age of Empires was that each one has their own thing, and I wonder what choices they made. Well, the Etruscan, I love them. I love the Etruscans here. It's a mix-up, but it's great. I mean, when you have to make up things, at least they pick something, and you can always learn a new thing, I guess. Even as a player, if you don't know, you just learn something new. Even if it's not accurate, I think it's still something fun.
It's really cool. So this is actually one of our units. Jacob, do you wanna give us a rundown of our roster?
Yes. Well, first, this is one of those city views that we're fighting outside of the walls, so you can get the view. It's not going to get a great angle, but you can see the palace at Alpanu. Yeah. So let me make sure we know where the reinforcements are. They are all coming from over here. Great. So we were fighting against Ansira, one of the Hittite local factions. And our army is made up of mostly Sheridan soldiers, and a few Neuragic warriors, where they go really explicit with a Sardinian origin theory. You see there are cool, unique helmets. And then the Sheridan get the horned helmets that they get in the Egyptian reliefs. No idea if those are accurate or they just thought it would look fun, but the Egyptians seem to think that they wore them. I don't know. Oh yeah, the Palastu defenders. That's from the Pella set. With the fully plumed out helmets as well.
Yeah, let's go.
Spearman.
Yeah, and then we got the do we have the people with the harpoon? Our harpooneers.
This army does not have any harpoon units. I forget which army I gave that to. It's not over here, unfortunately. But that is one of the really great choices that they made is like fishermen armed with harpoons that get stuck in people's shields.
I mean, I'm not mad at that. I'm really not mad at that. Because it like when your whole community's on the move, everyone who can fight is gonna fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It is really cool. So we'll see what kind of units are they fielding.
So Zua. Oh, that's the general. Okay, yeah, this is just most bodyguards, some chariots, and a lot of This is the Phrygian roster, so similar to a lot of the Hittite troops. It's good javelins and a lot of like heavy infantry type units.
Oh, yeah. They're,
but to answer
they have some cool ones.
To answer your question about the unique units, yeah. So every region has like a set of maybe 15 or so units, and then each leader gets about 15 units to themselves as well. And they're not quite like as different as the ones in Age of Empires are, but they are unique to them. And some of them are really quite unique. The Peliset ox cart chariots, for example, I think nobody really has anything else that's even like that.
I live to slay.
Yeah, we were questioning that a little, like maybe it's a little bit. But it works. And then you can recruit like the elite of the elite. I think once a year. Because even if you're not Egyptian, you still follow the Egyptian calendar. So every Shemsu Hor, which is when the court would meet, you can ask for, you can request more bonuses, and you can get like elite units. But look at those heavy chariots.
Heavy chariots going right into the heavy Neuragic warrior spearmen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean,
you watch all those nice chariots just completely break to pieces.
Just being hammered. Also, if you look at the armor of the Neuragic warriors, they are actually wearing the crowned helmet and the shield that you find in little bronze figurines from Sardinia. They really took the iconography and went with it. They're like, yes. You can also build Nuragi wherever you are with these armies. So, to score in future archaeologists, it's like, let's build something from Sardinia in Anatolia and see what future archaeologists think about that.
Warriors, advance!
Well, we cannot build temples, but we can build We can. Oh wow. Okay, they are heavy boys. Look at them.
Yeah. These are the top tier spearmen for the sea people. The Palastu warriors. They have a unique formation, the Wall of the Palastu. And they got like the Ajax style tower shields and everything. It's very cool.
Yeah. The big Mycenaean tower shield. Well, proto-Mycenaean tower. Post-Mycenaean. We don't know, right? The big tower shields with 7 layers of oxide and bronze. It's really cool that they made several choices. They also have the Bortusk helmets. If you get the heavy units, then you get the helmets necessarily. So we are all hoping that one of because there's gonna be like 3 more DLCs.
Originally it was planned there were gonna be 3 total faction expansions and a campaign, like a second campaign. And we'll see how much of it they actually execute on. But because when the game was first released, it was kind of overpriced. A lot of people were very upset about it, so they dropped the price. They released the Sea People for free. So I am hopeful that they're gonna actually put the rest of the game into release, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? because we are kind of hoping to see Mycenaean Greece. We are kind of hoping to see other factions. So usual questions that we ask our guests. Andrea, if you had to choose, which other Bronze Age factions would you like to see in a future expansion?
Depends how far you want to go, but China would be cool. Even though, I mean,
that
but
would be
again,
really far.
Bronze Age. Think about something special that it's missing. Again, because you can go to Europe because, so of course, Greece, so Mycenaean Greece. What else? Its problem is we don't have any sources for second millennium anywhere, pretty much. So apart from China that I can think of.
We were all saying, oh, if we go a little forward, maybe the Assyrians.
Well, definitely in Near East, there's much that you can do with. Its problem is that you have to find. Well, at the same time, let's say the Hittite were the Near East was the most important power, but it's not like Babylonia still existing. They didn't have a major outreach, but they had their own king. They were still the center of Mesopotamia. Assyria coming up strongly in middle Assyrian kingdom. So yeah, that is definitely Assyrians would be cool one, I guess. Oh well, Crete. I would love to see Crete.
And it's
right.
You can see it on the map, but it's not. They haven't put it in yet, but it is there. You can make it out.
I mean, if you want to do a DLC and you don't care too much about chronology, you can put in some Minoan Palace civilization and whatever. It's not like. Of course, at that time everything would be taken over by the Mycenaeans, but I don't know. They were still using to some degree, their palaces. Of course, we don't know anything about what was going on in Crete with the previous people. But I think it would be cool because it's such a peculiar culture and it's so different than others, than Mycenaeans as well, and from anything in Anatolia also.
They could go crazy with the new iconography for new units. Mm-hmm. Because I mean the whole Minoan aesthetics would be incredible. We also don't know because the campaign they said is going to be a campaign, and we were all like, is it going to be a campaign during the Bronze Age collapse? Is it going to be before? Because if it's going to be before, right? We're like, what if they give us Tutmosis III, then we go to Megiddo? Which, who knows? But we don't know. They haven't told us anything. So, we can do raise and exterminate.
Yes,
excellent.
That gives us the major victory apparently.
We got a victory. Excellent. So there are 3 tiers of victory, and you get points for. Oh wow! Look at the Asiatics falling from the towers.
So yeah, that is a.
Look at the prisoners. Holy shit. Well. Yeah, that's our leader. The blonde is our leader.
Yes. So
and I read his name is Iolaos.
Yeah.
Like
yes. Okay. Let's talk about our leader, our fearless leader. So this is the how you get victory points. So for us, is feats of rules. So a reveling chaos, wealthy horde, most pious, rich beyond belief, all of that. Each faction has different ones.
And then destroying regions. So every region we can wipe out entirely, we get victory points pretty much. And that's what pushed us over the edge, was destroying Ansira.
I fight for my brothers. I do what must
with our
be
faction
done to
victim.
survive.
Yes.
He's great. We didn't mean for him to become an icon, but he did.
There is suspiciously very little blood.
Yes, there's a DLC for that we do not have on. But you can, if you want, you can enable oceans.
I was thinking that this is. I suspected this is a feature that you can, unlock or not.
Yeah. the trailer for the Blood DLC is just people decapitating each other like every 5 seconds, and you're like, wait, what? What is going on? It's like rivers of blood, decapitations, like very easy decapitations. It's like, let's talk about it. But but yeah, our leader is blonde and he has a Greek name. Maybe we can take a look at him.
Oh yes,
and see, and show. Yeah. So it is Shem-Suhor.
My brother, what?
Yeah, this is our leader. I mean, he's
he's the friend of Hercules in that famous TV show of the 90s. It's him. It's
him.
Even his name.
That's him. We don't have Kevin Sorbo because.
I think here you have your explanation why they went blonde. I think they just essentially loved that character somehow, and they.
That's true. You are short and blonde. That's very true. Hey, if they did that, then I want Xena Warrior Princess. Okay, it's only fair.
I think this is a very good DLC, and Amazon's kind of the Amazons somewhere from Western Anatolia can. I mean, it's like you can make it become something more also Age of Mythology, and you put in some unrealistic things.
Let me tell you, they did
could
that
be
for Total War Troy.
Something like that.
For Total War Troy, which is like the one, it's kind of a standalone, weird spin-off, only Troy and the Trojan War game. There is a mode in like it's basically like you can choose if you want to play historically accurate or if you want to have mythical units. It's insane. It's absolutely insane because it's like the very serious Total War thing, and then you have griffins, minotaurs, gorgons, the works. And one of the expansions was the Amazons. So you are on the money that. So you could play with 2 tribes of Amazons. It was incredible. And of course, the Amazons were wearing Scythian attire, right? So with the small shields and the Phrygian caps and the long pants, fantastic, incredible. So, but that's why we were all saying, well, they already have the Bronze Age Greek units.
Here I am.
Yep.
We can just put them in here. We can just add them.
Say your final words.
The other interesting thing, in Egypt, Akhetaten is always destroyed and burning and empty, and you can only rebuild it and recolonize it if you choose to worship the Aten. Otherwise, it's always empty. But the Aten is not, a divinity on its own. You need to create the Aten. So the Aten becomes any 2 deities from any 2 cultures that you want, and then you can create the Aten. So, which is very in character for the Aten because it's like it has the male and female principles in itself. Like you want a gender fluid Aten, you can do it. Which is what we did the first time actually. We were like, yeah, let's put Arena and let's use what did we use? Did we use Horus? Did we use Ra? It was like a very weird Aten the first time we played. It was
You can kind of just slap together whatever you want, really.
Yeah, exactly. So we are, So they put together a really interesting, a really interesting Aten, and we also have all of the names of all the sea people that are mentioned in the in the famous Egyptian text. They put in all of them. It's like everyone's here, and they arrive in waves.
Yes, we'll run through them right now. The Denyen, the Ekwesh, the Luca, the Shekelesh, the Teresh, the Weshesh do not have a kinfolk army right now, but the Weshesh are also around. And then, of course, the Sheridan and the Peliset, which are the playable factions.
Follow me to the end. I cannot wait.
Some of them never settle down, so you cannot even try to be friendly with them. And some others do settle down, and you can try to establish some good relationships with them. But some are just the old hordes. So you cannot. But they're good because they seem to not be angry at us for reasons. I mean, we are king.
Yeah, and we are allied with one of them. It doesn't do that much for us, but
I mean, they're helping us in destroying everything, which is always a plus. And also, Amsicora is a Sardinian name.
Continue the siege.
So they're really, they've gone with Sardinian, Etruscan.
It looks like Ansira has been destroyed as a faction. And then,
F,
yep. Mania and
F in the
Phrygia
chat.
has resettled Hattusha, annoyingly, but I want to take out this, their main area first.
Yeah. That's not okay. And I think Kurunta still has a stronghold on Cyprus.
No, he doesn't. Oh, that got destroyed at the same time. Someone, I thought we were gonna fight him again, but nope, somebody else took him out.
Thank you guys. We're very we're grateful for that. Oh yeah, let's build some Nuragi there, just in case.
Yeah, it gives us a little bit of food income, but now we need to wipe out the last vestiges of the Hittites. These two Phrygian factions.
Oh my god.
Are all that are left.
Yeah, but see how much of the map.
Somebody's destroyed Pell out of Yerushalayim. Like, some of the other Sea People's factions are causing problems for what little is left over there. It's interesting to watch.
That's good. That's good. And they're not
here's our, we alluded to
disappeared.
it, but here's our civilization meter. And we only have 130 civilization points left, so we are deep in collapse.
It's a collapsometer. And the more, like, the higher the collapse status, the more bonuses we get, because we are the collapse. But if you play as settled civilizations, then you want to avoid collapse by, fending off these waves, resettling places, maybe not fighting to the death with others. It depends, right? And you can... So every faction has a suggested different playstyle. Because every leader is like, this is the RPG portion of the game. Like, every leader has a sort of character, motifs and reasons. So, for instance, if you play a Seti, you are told that you're a brute, and the way that you want to do things is you just go and steamroll people. If you play as Tawozret, maybe you're trying, to be a little more diplomatic. You get an achievement to make if you make your husband into a vassal, which is always a good thing. We support women's rights, but also women's wrongs. And like, if you play as Bai, you want to be schemy because, you're Oriental and gay. So you need to scheme.
March.
And for the Hittites, Shupiluluma's motif is he wants to save the empire from collapse.
Difficult for all.
So he's this kind of tragic figure who's against this wave of invasions and general awfulness, and who in the game they made his brother, which is Kurunta. So it's, they tried to give some RPG traits to these, and you can kind of play it as you want. The one thing that they don't have, which is really cool, is there are no marriages. In the previous Total War installations, you had like your family tree, and if you had daughters, you can marry them off. But in here, since it's very Egypt-centric, you cannot do that, because Egypt does not send princesses out. But also, you cannot have people coming in to marry into your family. Oh, look at Ioleos just killing. So it is. So this game is very much drinking the Egyptian Kool-Aid, which is why we made this choice. And like, no, let's just destroy everything. Let's just break shit.
Oh no, here's.
And take.
He's trying to resettle Sibria. See, it's not even for himself. It's Happy. That's a unfortunate name.
Happy? Yeah, no, I don't think you're happy, sir. You're not gonna be happy when we're done with you. Let's go. Yes, also... Yeah, also, that's true. Thank you, chat. So, they added these other... Well, he's dead now because we've killed him. One of the Levantine factions is Irsu, who's a name that's mentioned, like, what, twice in Egyptian sources? Like, not a lot. And he's... So in Egyptian sources, it seems like he's a warlord. One of the many warlords that's, around there. The choice, like capital C choice at the end that this game made with him, is that he wants to burn the ward, and the deity that he worships is Moloch. Because Orientalism and and Kabiria apparently. So yeah, so they're they gave him this kind of, he's big and wears a lion skin, and he's like, he just wants to watch the world burn and burn children for Moloch. There are choices around, Maybe at the end of the stream we'll show you all the faction leaders, so you can see, you can choose which one you like the most. We've killed most of them right now, so we've killed everyone around.
Yeah, I think of the named faction leaders, we're down to, other than us and the Peliset, just the like 3 Egyptian factions left.
8? Yeah, Amenmess is still around. Despite himself. Despite his best judgment. Who's still around? Seti is still around. Somehow. Surprisingly.
In this world, only the
Then
strong.
yeah.
Nimlot, that...
Wow. Now that is a name.
I don't want Horde Chariot units. We did that, it was kind of lame, so we're going to do Peace and its Discontents, win us some battles.
What do you need?
Okay, are you gonna
Order the warriors to
continue
march.
Okay, that's under siege by some
March
of the
until
other
arrival.
sea people, so there's no point in taking that out.
This is enough for now.
This army just needs to go somewhere.
Prepare for a long march. Meet your gods.
Alright, I think we can now take Abydos. Which I feel very bad doing. Considering I'm hoping to visit in a couple of months. But, you know.
Well.
Oh well.
I mean, it is necessary for us.
Yeah.
We need to destroy cult centers, right? The more cult centers you destroy, the more victory points you accrue, because, you know.
March.
So we are literally laying waste to everything.
Sometimes in war, we do things we don't like.
Yep.
That's true.
Brother to
That's
the
true. I mean, I think we're gonna have to destroy some of the settled Libu too.
Yeah, because the problem is what they're going to end up doing if we don't is resettling the Nile Delta, which we don't want. We put so much effort into cleaning it up, you know.
Put so much effort into killing everything that moves.
Yeah.
And burning. So, you know.
Sea
We're
pirate
building
and
things.
adventurer.
Can you get a better armor? No.
I don't... No, because it's
No.
the higher tier armor.
No,
He's already
it's
in
a better
it.
one. Baldassare is not really. That's
What is-
their token Italian general.
You know, what is Baldassare supposed to be? Like, I'm trying to parse that into...
Balthazar,
Oh, okay.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the Italian version of one of the 3 wise men who
Yeah.
bring gifts to Jesus.
Say your
So-
final words.
I like that this place is called Krateia too, so we are definitely into Greek territory, Greek-speaking territory. Although
Well-
Greek is not a thing yet.
As long as it
Oh, I
takes.
thought the Greek language, like, seems to be recorded in
Anything
Linear
else?
B. Even if... This area was probably not nearly as Greek, though, as it would be
Right,
later.
this is kind of outside of that place. I mean,
Yes,
Gordion
just
is.
so. Set
I mean,
course.
I expect knots to pop out in Gordion. Like it's not a long way to, you know, the Ionian coast. And you can see it in the map.
Costs.
From the Ionian meaning like Western Turkey, right? The Ionian, like the Ionian revolt.
Life
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not fair.
Like that Ionian.
From the Hittite text, we know that the Greeks probably had settled some of the cities in the
I am
coast. I mean,
here.
the names Ephesus already existed, Miletus also. So that there are the names of cities and they look Greek. There's also some Greek names rarely in some texts. So the coast of Ionia certainly had some. It's hard to say whether they were like part of a Mycenaean kingdom or they were just enclaves of Mycenaeans there, maybe trade centers, maybe individual cities, or maybe some population of Mycenaean was there, but also within like local kingdoms. It's hard to say because we don't have much sources. But well, with the Phrygians is a bit different because they're a bit later. So the Phrygians, like we know in the first millennium, so I think they put them there to fill the gap. There were local kingdoms. We don't know when the Phrygians arrived. They probably come from the west, as far as we know. Phrygian is also a strange language. We don't know if it has any relation with Anatolian languages or it's just another thing. But they use the Greek alphabet, or at least very early they adopted Greek alphabet and developed the Phrygian one. It's a very and the chronology is difficult there because there's very early inscriptions in Phrygian stuff, in Phrygian potteries and so on, and they're as early almost as the earliest Greek inscriptions. So who got it from is difficult to say. Then of course both look alike, Phoenicians a little bit. So yeah, I think that the Greeks never arrived so into central Anatolia, but there is a funny object that it's a sword, a Mycenaean sword that was found. It's not known where it's from, but it is inscribed in Hittite. So a Hittite king inscribed a sword, a Mycenaean sword. Like typologically, we know it's from the west. They probably got it in battle, so it's as a spoil of war. They got this Greek sword. They inscribed it with a king's name, and the king dedicated to a god in temple. And fortunately, we have it. It was probably found somewhere. It's from illegal excavations. Probably it was published in '94, I think. It's unique. We only know this one object, and it's very peculiar. And when they look at the sword, it's not Hittite. It's a Greek sword. So certainly comes from the west. It comes from the coast where we know they met the Greeks. We know they were talking to these Achaia representatives, whether they were also having cities in the coast or they were from inland Greece, like the palaces. So, but and the Linear B, as Jacob said, it is Greek essentially. So Linear B is Greek. It's Mycenaean dialect, but it's Greek. So we know they were already there. So I think the Greeks would be a good DLC somehow. And you can put in some Trojan War stuff, and you have a lot of material there. So.
We should unite that. We should also like give credence to the whole thing that yes, Troy is named in Hittite writings, which I mean, yeah, I don't see why not, right? And the Danans and the Achaeans, and oh, I see the Great King has joined us. Hello, Great King.
Onwards.
Hello.
Yes.
He's very fluffy. Oh my god. He's Mama's boy.
The flame in the flesh.
Always great when he joins us. But we'll see what they add. But like the fact that that part of the map is already visible, one can hope. One can hope. Right?
Hey, pay attention.
In the meantime, oh my god, we're getting deep into the desert there.
Yes, I'm trying to recruit another like tiny army just to hunt down. Because inevitably, like little groups of Lebu are going to be causing problems, and I want to have some way of dealing with them. But we are very close to having finished off the entirety of the Hittites. Because it looks like Ascanian Phrygia has lost his other settlements.
We go there next.
Oh wow!
And they're laying siege to Gordian. So let's
at least
make sure we can
declare
war on them.
Also fairly Greek as a name.
Yeah, that's very Greek.
They really went with Greekish names.
So that means that this army has done its job, I think, and we can disband it. It has helped a lot, and there's no more Hittites to really destroy, so we don't need our Hittite destroying army.
just as it should.
And I wonder if we can recruit a Libyan army. I want to see what that's going to look like.
Good job.
That would be interesting. You should get like the usual desert thing. So some units have terrain bonuses, so Libyan units usually have reduced or no attrition in the desert because they come from the desert, whereas if you try to send lower Egyptian troops into the desert, they will get attrition because they're not used to the terrain. So that's why it's important to and it's cool to be able to recruit local troops, so you can keep them in the region where like in the region where they come from. And use them against their own people, which is also terrible, but at the same time very useful and historically accurate. We're not about the displacement of people. We want to use every bonus. They also squished and stretched a little Egypt to add the monuments.
Yes.
So we have
Here's,
some temples where they should not be.
Jesseru and Abydos, and the Colossi of Memnon in Hierakonpolis,
So
Nekhen.
much distraction and ruin.
Yeah, they should be a little Oh, a little way away from Waset, or like on the other side, but unfortunately.
Yeah. The problem is so many of the great monuments would all be in Waset province, or on the opposite side of the river from Waset. It's like, do you really want that?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, the next wave is the Aquesh. I thought they were already here.
No, they are. They're invading.
Oh, okay. They are desperate and will attack settlements along the coast.
Let's
Oh
get
yeah.
Some followers.
Masu. Okay. Oh, he also got a fancy armor. Look at him.
Yeah.
Passion victim. Nice, nice. Good for him. Let's see what. Upkeep native army, if it's a native army that he's going for. Yeah.
Yep. And
yeah,
then,
So you can get more bonuses if you can get ancillaries. So basically you add like objects and people to the generals. And they give various bonuses, and it's interesting to see which ones are more useful. And if you conquer a whole region, then you get a specific ancillary only for that region. That gives you bonuses in that specific region. So we have the standard of Narin, we have the standard of, the standard of here and of there. But we're not really using that because we're not settling down.
Yeah,
we're just killing.
Oh, that's actually a fair deal. I'll take that. I don't know why Beersheba wanted that.
Thank
so
you,
badly,
Dan.
But... Yep. All right, we can help out in the
Clonios.
Gordian.
Yes, thank you. I mean, a guy whose name is Clonios sounds like a spoof. Sounds like a spoof name. Goodbye, sir.
Sure, yeah, we could do military access. Yeah. I'm not really sure what that means when neither of us have any land and don't, like, believe in borders. Oh, there we go.
Oh, well, there we go. The Great Wave is incoming.
Of the deep blue waters.
Yes, so this is one of the really scary events if you're playing as one of the, like, settled factions. If you're like Egypt or something, because it means that a huge number of sea people are about to show up. But, for us, hardly a bad thing.
Unstoppable.
Full Mycenaean swords. Look at those very cool Bronze Age swords, right?
I dread the day the tide might bring them back.
And of course, the ships coming in the storm.
This is actually a question I have, because I thought it was very tough to get, like, proper long swords out of bronze. Is that not the case? Were there, like, good,
I come for you.
Swords being used, like, frequently during the Bronze Age?
Define long.
Like, more than 18 inches, maybe?
Let's see.
I think generally, long swords are not really a thing of the past. It's kind of and even I recently kind of came across this reading, and in Japan we have this notion that katana was the standard weapon. They hardly ever used it. Like the weapon of choice is always the spear. So, and I think even in the ancient and even in the Iliad and even in the archaic Greek period, the spear is the weapon of choice. It's just, you can keep away and you can hit someone far and you can stab, and it's very useful. And sword is like a resort of the last, if you have to fight for survival, then you use the sword, and usually it's just a manageable weapon. It's shorter. I think longsword is more like a medieval thing that of course in our mind is. As far as I remember, it's true. It's like long swords and longer than a certain, and of course the Romans had the gladius as well.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And also, because as I understood it, with bronze, it's really hard to make like a weapon of like a blade of a long length that keeps its shape. That's why you get like the khopesh, because it's as like the thing that's more common than like a long sword is also just it's for various technical reasons. It's easier to work bronze into that kind of a shape than to draw it out into like a really long thing that will keep up that straightness. But I don't know if that's correct information or not.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, to make a long thing is more difficult than a short. And I think also it's more durable. Like a short thing is less fragile. Like a long